Good.
We are live, people.
Hey everybody, it's Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate, and welcome to the BiggerPockets live broadcast. We took the last 2 weeks off because I was on vacation, so I actually have to have a break too. I was doing Jiu-Jitsu immersion camp with Jocko Willing, loved it, look him up, and we also were volunteering with one of the foundations that we work with back in Maine. So that said, I am here with Mr. James Dainard, and he was just on a BiggerPockets podcast. What episode?
338.
338. He has to look it up. He has no idea. So 338. Check him out. It's an amazing story. You started at Red Robin's as a waiter, and then you got into real estate, and now you're a billionaire. And
or working on getting a millionaire. I'm still inching my way out there.
By a couple stacks of millions at a time. But so that said, I love this guy. Him and I've done a lot of business together here in the Seattle, Washington area. Definitely check out his podcast episode. It's the second best podcast episode BP's ever done. The first one is episode 189, which is the one I did, so check that out too. So he's happy, whatever. Anyways, so we're here in Seattle at one of his projects. You guys can tell this is not your standard real estate project. It's not your basic fix and flip. We're going to get into this with James here in a moment and go into explicit detail, walk through it. What stage of rehab is it in right now?
So right now we're currently almost done with our rough-ins. We've had our electricals being inspected tomorrow. Plumbing's been signed off. HVAC's been signed off, and then framing will be on next Monday, and then we'll start insulating from there.
Yeah. So there's still a lot of work to be done. Let's walk this project. It's pretty cool. What year was it built?
It was built in 1926.
Okay, so you're almost at a 100-year-old house. They don't make front entryways like this like they used to. We'll talk about that later. But come on inside. Let's check it out. Now, for those of you guys watching on Facebook or YouTube,
So
this is also a
YouTube is having troubles with the audio, so maybe
YouTube. Go ahead and check us out on Facebook. For some reason, YouTube's still in beta for live streaming, and it's messing up audio all the time. We're doing the best we can with that. So if you want to be more active, go to Facebook right now. But if you have questions for this broadcast, ask them anytime. We're going to be doing Q&A. We have 2 people monitoring, 1 person on YouTube, 1 person on Facebook. And as we go through it, ask questions. We're going to go through acquisitions, how we found it. We're going to go through the numbers of the project. We're going to go through what we're actually going to do for the remodeling on it, or what he's going to do. It's not like I'm doing it, but I can pretend like that. So let's go inside.
Nice busy site.
So check this out. So Jimmy, we're going to call him Jimmy. It's James for short. So how did you find this project?
So we found this project. It was actually good timing on our part. The Seattle Times had just released a bunch of news articles talking about how the real estate was slowing down in Seattle. And so for us as investors, we like bad press like that because it allows us to kind of jump in the mix and kind of find good deals again. So this was listed on the Northwest MLS right after that articles came out, which is kind of sitting there, and we kind of were looking at the property like, well, that's a really good deal. We figured it would get bid way up. And as we were sitting there, after it had a review offer period of 7 days, and it went right past that offer period, and so instantly we just fired offer in and got it secured on the Northwest MLS, so we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah. And so you bought this on the MLS. Now, I've been doing real estate in Seattle since 2011, 2012, something like that. And I bought a ton of MLS deals between like 2011 and right around like I'd say 2016-ish, right?
Yeah.
But I bought like almost no MLS deals since then. And so so there's deals on the MLS still?
We get half of our deals off the Northwest MLS. So, I mean, everyone's always chasing that off-market sizzle, like, oh, it's off-market, so it's a better deal. That is not always the case, right? Because I like the Northwest MLS because, A, you have somebody that wants to sell their house. They're not bringing you out to the house to maybe entertain an offer. They want to sell. Typically, if you can get an inspection to go through the property and actually work with a seller and a third party that hopefully has some logic behind them too, to where you can actually give them a fair, reasonable offer and negotiate actual terms rather than just a seller at the table going, hey, I want this number for my house because Zillow says so. Okay. So, and also we like the Northwest MLS because a lot of times people think that the house is just going to fly off the shelf, but these bigger fixture projects have come with a lot of hair now, so they'll sit there longer and people get nervous. Mm-hmm. And once people get nervous, they're willing to take more realistic offers.
And so I guess just so for those of you guys watching this, because a lot of people that watch this are at different stages of this business. Some people are just starting out, some people are already crushing it. You can tell this is not your typical rehab, and we're going to go through this project here in a moment. This is a little bit more than a cosmetic, right? So
yes.
You got cosmetic and then you got this. No.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it, but so I want to walk through this project with you guys and have Jimmy explain what it used to be and what he's doing with it now, and just the back. How many square feet is this building?
So the building's a total of about 3,800 square feet.
Wow.
It's really big. The main floor is about 1,400 and change. The basement's 1,400 and change, and then the upstairs is about 800 and change.
So we're going to go through all that. We're going to go through the numbers also. So we actually have a fancy cardboard box to be able to write on for you guys later with a marker. And that we had Rosie, who you guys will meet later. She went and drove and got one and got us a marker because we forgot it, because we're so prepared for you guys. Every Wednesday at noon on BP Live, we're going to be doing these, unless I'm on vacation, like I was the last 2 weeks. So, that said, now, so let's walk through this project. Let's talk about it. There was something, before we do that though, there's something different about this project. It wasn't just a single family home, right?
Yeah, so the reason we like this property is because we purchased it for $750,000, so the property was very versatile when we brought it. The new construction sold across the street for $2.2 million, so it could work as a new construction site. We decided to opt away from that when we purchased it because the neighbors actually really wanted us to restore the house, and the numbers also worked that way. But also what it was a grandfathered-in duplex. So the original owners of the house, or the owners for the last 50 years, bought it as a duplex. The zoning has switched from multifamily to SF 5000,
Which is single family in the area.
Yeah, single family zoning. But in the city of Seattle, you're allowed to have that grandfathered in as a duplex if you use it as a duplex. Because the family lived here for so long and didn't actually rent out anything or ever have a historical 2 billing on it, the city did revoke the duplex card. So, but that was one of the aspects that we looked at is, this could be grandfathered in as a duplex. We like the novelty of it. We could actually put a little bit less money into it and keep it more cosmetic, and then put it back to market as a duplex to sell it or keep it.
Yeah.
And then our third option was just doing a massive renovation because it's on a primo street in Madison Valley, and do a really high-end renovation and then chase a very high-end ARV.
So I guess one of the lessons there that Jimmy went over too is that this is an older house. It's a 100-year-old property for the most part, and zoning changes over the course of 100 years. And so in this part of Seattle, at one point, this was a small multifamily type zoning. That's why there's a duplex. But then when you if you're searching through these properties and you're like, I'm going to buy this as a duplex and be able to rent it out, right? He wouldn't have been able to do this. So if his entire strategy on this building was it needed to stay a duplex, he would have been screwed, for lack of a better word. Hot water, big time. Because the people that bought it, that lived in it for 50 years or whatever, or owned it for 50 years, the last few years, they didn't use it as a duplex. So that reset the zoning to the zoning now, which is single family. So therefore, the city of Seattle would not allow it to stay a duplex because they wanted it they didn't allow it to get grandfathered in. So he was forced to make this now into a single family. So know your strategy, know your rules. Some of you guys in the newer areas out there that are doing new builds and stuff like that, no big deal. But if you're in those cities that have been around for a while, I'm sure they all kind of have these little challenges. So just do your research and your homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was never our 100% plan to do as a duplex. It was our backup plan, and that was the simpler plan.
Yeah.
But then our main plan was always just to renovate the home to its historical craftsman design.
Yeah, and for those of you guys watching this, if you guys have any questions on YouTube or Facebook, ask them anytime, and we'll do the best to be able to answer. Oh, we have one.
Do you hire building contractors, or do you hire building contractor, or are you a building?
So
do you have a builder? Do you have a builder's license? Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm trying to I can't read.
I don't know if this is.
Do you hire a building contractor, or do you have a builder's license?
I have a builder's license because you're required to have that in Washington State. But we hire a general contractor for all of our projects, and we hire an architect, a structural engineer to handle all the design, the permitting, and then we have a general contractor take over from there.
Yeah, and so it's everybody has a different city and different jurisdiction with where you live and the licensing requirement. Washington is a wacky state that requires people that flip houses for a profit. That if they don't hire a general contractor, then they have to be one, right? And so, which means you can't hire subs and stuff like that unless you're a GC flipping houses for profit. Really stupid. And also, there's no testing in the state of Washington for licensing as well, so which is stupid as well.
Yeah.
But that's a labor and industry issue, and we can talk about that another day. So let's walk this project, and then Rosie, are you on Facebook, or are you doing? Okay. So if you guys have any questions, Rosie will answer that on Facebook. But all right, so tell me about what did this used to look like? Where are you at?
So it was kind of almost a 4-square design Seattle house. It was very sectioned off. Actually, it had this office through here, and then we had another bedroom tucked. It was like a large flex room, but off here, and then the kitchen was actually behind this wall at one point. So we didn't like that you walk in the front door, hit this staircase, which is actually, we thought is a very architectural design staircase, right? It's dead center. So what we're actually doing here is we're putting in custom wood craftsman railings all the way through. So when you walk in the front door, you get natural light through these French doors that we installed, some craftsman railings, good pop. But then we relocated the kitchen because, when we're chasing, we're going for a value that's over $1.5 million. It has to have the right floor plan and the right size features, right? And that's a big thing. Any property that I'm looking at, it's about digging into the comparables and really researching. Not, do they just have an updated kitchen or do they have a chef-style kitchen? And that helps me budget up from it. So what we did is we took the kitchen out of this section, which was very narrowed off, had a one single door going out to an undercover deck. And then we relocated the kitchen into here. We have a big, massive dining room now with flow. And it has a massive style, chef-style kitchen, right? So we got our fridge.
Do you have a kitchen plan here? Or no?
We should have a kitchen plan.
Yeah. So what James is also summarizing too, guys, is that in this neighborhood, what are you trying to sell for? 1.6, something like that?
Yeah, 1.6 to 1.7.
Okay, so for that level of this neighborhood, if he starts doing kind of all right, hey, let's just do basic finishes, that's just going to dramatically drop your ARV, but you need to go super high and tight on those finishes in this neighborhood.
Yes.
It's like a luxury property for the most part. Right?
Yeah, because that's a big key to anytime you're buying a fix and flip property is really researching what the product is. I see a lot of mistakes, and I've made these same mistakes numerous times where I'm like, oh, hey, I got a remodeled house, that's a remodeled house, I'm going to price it the same, and then it doesn't sell. And you're like, what's going on there? It's shiny, it has the things it needs. But, when you get into different echelon of pricing, just because you spend a certain amount of money on your project doesn't mean you're going to get it back. You got to do it in the smart way. Yeah. And so for us, it was about laying out, getting the kitchen into a big style, chef style kitchen, because anybody spending that kind of money is usually looking for a higher end property in general, and something that has massive entertaining space as well. Yeah. And so we don't have our kitchen plan. But what we did design is we have 14-foot runs in here for the kitchen layout. Big, we have a range going in here for a feature wall, dishwasher, sink, fridge here. We're doing a center island right here with undercover microwave, so it's got the flow throughout, and then we're doing pantry-style cabinets in here. So it's going to be a really big size kitchen, and part of that too is a 6-bedroom house. So it's going to have a lot of people, so it needs to be able to provide that kind of hosting in there.
That's huge. That's awesome. So all right, let's walk the rest of the property. And so I can see right now, you got these blue lambs in here, these beams. Yeah. You had to put a lot of engineering into this. Did you guys, I know some of the questions that might come up, did you guys hire an architect or an engineer, or do you guys do you just figure it out yourself? Or?
Depending on the size of the project. So one that we're taking down to the studs, it's a massive reconfiguration. We always use an architect and a structural engineer. Yeah. Because we can't expect our framers to just know what beams to put in. So every beam's been engineered all the way through, plus it helps with your building inspections. When the inspector comes out, they know it's stamped, they know it's been signed off, and they can kind of get through the permitting a lot faster.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So anything going on the interwebs? Any kind of questions? No? If you guys have questions, ask them. We're here for you as much as possible. So we're going to go over to acquisition pricing and all that stuff like that in a moment, which some of you guys are waiting for in the numbers. Let's walk the rest of the upstairs as we go.
So Facebook is cut out, but if you refresh, you'll be able to get back on.
Okay, so you can refresh on Facebook. If it cut out, just refresh. So let's take the floor.
We got a big family room. So one thing that we did install here is actually, because this was a duplex before, this side door actually came up with a staircase that went up to this top unit. It was a single unit up here. So because the city didn't let us grandfather it in, there's no reason for a staircase. We deleted that staircase, and then we utilized the space by having a secondary laundry on the main floor, because we wanted laundry close to the other bedrooms and not just all the way in the basement.
So there are 2 laundries.
So we actually have 2 laundries in the house.
Sweet.
Let's go upstairs. This thing's getting worse every time I walk on it.
Yeah, we haven't quite finished the framing yet.
Where's the master?
All right, so what we did here, so before it was actually a big kitchen with a staircase coming up through here.
So this was the other unit. This was
It was a secondary unit. It had 2 bedrooms in here, had a little flex room, and then a bathroom crammed in here. So we ended up stripping this all the way down to the studs and relaying out the whole floor plan. Okay. Masters through here, so we have a huge 16-foot by 13-foot wide master bedroom with actually a view of Bellevue and the lake over here. Especially in the fall time when the leaves come off, it will come up right through.
Yeah.
One issue we had, because of the roof line pits, we can only get the windows so big because of the shear wall.
Yeah.
So we had to keep them kind of more compartmentized ones. So what we're laying out is the master bedroom's going here. This is going to be a little sitting area for a view off here. And then we framed in a walk-in closet and its own master bathroom in here. Because anytime you have, any kind of upper echelon property, you have to have a master suite. That's just
I've seen that so many times. So like that's something for as well. Like I'm sure you've seen this too, where you get people they price the houses out based on, especially these older houses. You price them out based on square footage, bedroom, and bathroom count. Right? It's like, oh, it's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a master suite. Right? And then so you start. I've seen that with people.
Yes.
Like they think that, and it's like, why isn't it selling? Why isn't it selling? Well, it's like because you're trying to get a top dollar in a market that doesn't have a master suite through your remodel. So you need to always add a master bath, or at least know what your comps are for that as well.
Yeah, and even when the comps have 2 baths, a lot of times I'll get that master suite in there because I want to appeal to the masses when I'm selling. Like, half the people are not going to want to buy that house because of that.
Exactly.
And right now, when the market's cooling down, you want to make sure you get to the masses.
Especially if you're buying a house that looks fully remodeled in that market.
Yep.
That you think you're buying a really cool house that you love, and then you just don't have a master bathroom.
Yes, yeah, it can't be missing the bath. So we got double vanity sink, toilet, we did an oversized shower, and then we actually have a big vending closet too for extra storage, because the space that we were working off with, we had to get it a little bit tight. Yeah, very nice. See?
Yeah, that's good. So, hey neighbors, this is the neighbor you like, right?
This is our best friend next door. She has probably cost us 6 weeks of construction, or at least according to the complaint online, it's 6 weeks.
Let's talk about neighbors for a second. Yeah. Right. So yeah, tell me about. So City of Seattle, absolutely. Some neighborhoods are really, really happy to see us come into properties that are beyond a words like just messed up, right? Yeah. Messed up projects that are like housing derelict, homeless and squatters and everything. And then we come in and we make it all beautiful and new. Most neighbors love that, right? But then
there's always the one,
there's
right?
Always the one.
And for us, like, when we buy a house, we talk to the neighbors, we let them know what we're doing, we actually heard their concerns about us tearing it down and putting a new one up. They're like, we don't want a new one. We're like, okay, well, we're going to stick with this plan, fit the neighborhood. But there's some neighbors that they think that things should go faster. They think that the city's just going to give you your permit right away.
Quieter. Right?
They should be quieter, for example, our delay was there's been a wire coming from the street feeding the main power. It's been low for the last 20 years. But because we're remodeling it and someone's cleaned up the property, they now want the wire raised. What that did is we lost connection for 6 weeks. We can't work on power, or can't work on the project for 6 weeks. So actually what we did do is we brought generators out, but then she told us it was too loud. So it's like a catch-22. Like, it's taking too long, but we can't have generators there, but yet they call the city, so we have no power. And so the best thing you can do is introduce yourself to neighbors. Always be polite, even if they're not being polite, but be logical. Like, I'm not going to listen to complaints that are not logical, and I'll just say, no, this is kind of the process. We're doing everything we can. Let us know. Here's my phone number. Call me with any concerns.
Yep.
Don't get in an argument with them, because it just gets worse.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
Yes, just be firm, be straight, and then just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, next week we're going to be actually doing a BP Live in Portland with one of our good buddies, Tucker Merrihew, who does a lot of home builds down there. And Portland's a little bit more progressive than Seattle, and so in some areas. So he has the most fantastic stories from neighbors and stuff that I'm sure he won't help himself but have to share some of them next week, because he gets lit up like with a fire in his eyes when he talks about some of the stuff he's had to deal with in Portland.
That's what I talk about. Neighbors are like, in every flip house, there's always, I call them the free radicals of flipping.
Yeah.
Like stuff that you can't put inside your plan, like a crazy neighbor, or a permit delay, or a building inspector that's got kind of a god complex and wants everything done his way, right? And so you just kind of have to put contingencies in your budget for it. We always put 5 to 10% in, but at the end of the day, you just got to be kind of polite, keep your cool, move on.
Yeah, and some of you guys watching this too, like, this is a pretty heavy rehab, so like, there's more likely for some contingencies to happen because of that. When you're just doing paint, carpet, lipstick kind of stuff, most people don't even know you're working on the project to begin with. So, but in our market, that's becoming less and less to be doing those. And then, but some of your markets out there might have plenty of those deals. So, so that said, right? Oh yeah, actually, I love neighbors. So actually, we've never had real issues with neighbors and stuff. I don't know what it is.
We've never had one that's.
I honestly can't think of it. Maybe it's a personality issue or something like that.
I was gonna say,
you're a slow man. It's all good.
You seem like a nice guy, but I mean, have we considered something else here?
Yeah, but for No, actually, we just had a house burn down, and it was actually, I mean, the neighbor to the house loved us all the time. They're the ones that called everything in. They're the one that had the issues. And we even saw them today, and they're like almost had tears in their eyes because they felt so bad for us for everything like that.
He apologized. He felt like it was his fault.
He felt like it was his fault because he's like, I didn't catch them. Like, something like that. So,
That's your kind of guy.
yeah, we love them.
Yeah, neighborhood watch.
Nothing but awesome.
At Tule Lake,
neighbors.
the city officials were coming by thanking us.
We had people driving up, thanking us for buying houses and stuff before. We had neighbors clapping their hands when they saw their
Yeah, it's unreal. I bought in some of the nastiest houses, and then the day we touch it, people start yelling at us.
yeah,
Like,
it's
okay,
yeah,
but
they don't
you know,
like you. Maybe it's 'cause
Hold on,
you're
hold on. Turn around.
tattooed. Right,
I was saying,
tattooed.
this is new. This is to keep the neighbors away.
meow.
This is how we got so fed up with it.
Meow.
It's a raging lion.
Hold on, turn around. Is there a sign on your back that just says "Yell at me"? Tarl, did you put that sign back there?
So we gotta have fun with it, whatever, right? So
I mean, at the end of the day, you can't get yourself all worked up over stuff you can't control, right? You just got to figure out what the solution is and move on.
that's all you can do.
So this is our one of our furnace systems. Because of the size of the house, we didn't want to underpower it. It was really important that we got good air quality and heat in here. And then also we have a bunch of new beams running every which way because we opened the floor plan up. So it's just more efficient. It was going to give us a better ducting layout by just running 2 furnaces. So this services the top floor and the main floor. Then we have another one in the basement we'll see. So we had to spend extra money on that, which we did not have in our budget.
So for those of you guys watching as well on Facebook and YouTube, right? And if YouTube's having audio issues, just switch over to Facebook. Just throwing that out there. If you guys have any questions at any time while we're going through this, part of this is a Q&A for the walkthrough. It's kind of hard sometimes to figure out what questions to ask, but we're going to go through as much as possible. We're going to go downstairs and go over the numbers on this deal now.
I had a question.
Yeah, what's the question?
On your finishes, since you are in the PNW, how do you decide between eco-friendly and not, especially considering this is a higher level home?
Oh, so green built stuff versus
Right.
not green built stuff.
Greenbelt, like for us, I mean, the thing about when you're doing new construction quality renovations, or you're taking them all the way down to the studs, the new code really for all, for insulation, for any kind of energy efficiency is actually really high rated anyways. So naturally, you kind of come into it walking in with a 3-star rating. That's all self-verified. We used to verify that a lot more, but now the trend for a lot of buyers out there in Seattle, they just don't care as much. Like 3 years ago, it was a big deal. Like, what's it rated? What's the energy efficiency? But I think what people realized is they're not going to pay that big of a premium because when you do it studs down anyways, it's just not really gonna it's so energy efficient anyways, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just the R factors that make you put in, even in like these 2x4.
Yeah. This will be all rigid insulation, which is not cheap. Yeah. I mean, if you have rigid insulation like this, it's about 4 times the cost.
Yeah.
But you have to do it, and we didn't want to lose the ceiling height. So for us, more it's about not messing with the integrity of the structure. Like, we could save some money on the insulation by furring this down with like a 2x2 strip and fill in the cavities. But then our whole head height's gonna go down, so we'd rather just spend the extra money.
Yeah, basically, a lot of the building codes today actually are energy efficient and green kind of codes for a lot of stuff, especially here, that we're kind of forced to do it. So when you have it, but you can go overboard on it, and that's that cost benefit that people just don't.
Yeah, now if I saw a comparable in the market that was a 4-star green, because we're actually one of the first flippers to do 4-star green certified houses. Yeah. And what we noticed is we were spending about 10 to 20% more on our standard construction, and buyers weren't paying us for it anymore. And so as an investment company, we just have to make an investment choice at that point. Like, okay, is it worth doing? Is it worth the verification? Or do people just want a really well laid out product with good quality items in there? And so that's kind of what we're putting in more now.
And it's still 3-star.
Yeah, it's still 3-star, and it's still down to the studs, and they're getting an old restored home that's basically brand new on the inside.
Cool.
So,
Question.
There's one Michael asked, never used an architect or an engineer before. What's the typical cost for that?
Typical cost for our project, for this size project, you're going to be about $7,000 roughly with your engineering and floor plans in there. If it's more of a basic renovation with a couple of small walls and changes, your floor plans should cost you about $1,000 or less. If it's just a minor change or small changes, then your engineering should run you about $1,000 too, because typically they're only taking out like a kitchen wall or putting in framing for a bathroom.
And there's ways to save costs with architects, particularly.
Yeah.
Which is you can get a drafter or somebody that lay out the floor plan. like where they're going to be they're not a licensed architect, but they can actually measure out the floor plan, put it in CAD or something like that, or whatever they got, and they're going to be a couple $100, right, to be able to do that. You get your architect to have to do that, you're paying them hourly at like $100 or $200 an hour just to do something that you can get somebody for probably like $20 to $50 an hour to do. So and then they can use those plans, those CADs and stuff like that to be able to run their numbers off too. So there's sometimes ways you can get frugal with it as well.
Yeah. Just depends on the size of the project. But yeah, if you're down studs, anything structural, you're probably 5,000 to 7,000.
Yeah. So cool. It also depends where you live.
Yeah.
We live in Seattle. Shit's expensive.
So the other layout, real quick, is we had it's got a really good functional layout. We have another second bedroom, third bedroom, and then we put in a bathroom double vanity toilet and tub to service the bedroom. So it's all about function for resale, and with this kind of echelon housing, you can't get away with a 2-bedroom upstairs. You want to have 3 on the main floor for those family living.
So I want to get into the numbers now, and after the numbers, you guys are going to want to stick around because I want to show you what's in the basement. This is something that's kind of unique to Seattle or anybody that has like hills and water and all this kind of issues and stuff like that. We'll get into that later, but there's some crazy construction stuff that Jimmy had to do on this project that's like in our market, it's not that untypical, but for some of you guys might be really interested to see the kind of crap that we have to put up with here in our market. But we're going to show you that after the numbers, so stick with that.
Very wet.
Very wet here.
Very wet in Seattle.
Jimmy's got it.
Look at this.
Look at that.
It's almost too tall for me, though.
We are so prepared for you guys, and I keep saying every Wednesday at noon when we do this, I will one day have an easel here, and we did that on the last 2, but we forgot on this one. But we found a spot of cardboard, so it works out. So I'm gonna have you write the numbers down. Is this too high for you?
No, I'm good. I got it. I'm good.
So you got your acquisitions cost, right? And then we're gonna go over your estimated rehab, right? And then we're going to go over your ARV, right, for that after repair value. Oops, ARV. After repair value. And then we'll go over some other stuff like that, holding costs, net profit, everything too. So how much did you buy it for?
So we paid $750,000 for this house.
Cool.
Our estimated reno is $250,000. Yeah, and then we could have done, for the ARV right now, what we're targeting is $1.6 million. And so this actually could have changed. We could have been at 1.3 and did 175 instead and done less structural work. We actually would have done lighter renovation on the basement too. But, to spend the extra 20% to get another 30% out of resale was a no-brainer for us to do the project.
That's huge.
So.
And then, okay, so you got that. So spread-wise, like if we were HGTV right now, we would say you have $1 million into it and you're going to make $600,000.
That's right.
Yeah. That's how that works, right? Everybody do that math?
Yeah.
$1 million in cost.
Million in profit.
$600,000.
Yeah.
You're good to go, right? But we're not HGTV, so we're going to throw some real numbers in there. So
so typically when you sell a house, you got about 10. It's 9 to 10%. I run it at 10%, so we have $160,000 in cost just to sell it.
Okay, that's going to be, and in the state of Washington, so you guys know too, we have a 1.78% excise tax,
which is going up too.
It's going, especially on this house pricing stuff too, which is going up, and that's a fee we have to pay no matter what when we sell. Period. That's on top of property tax. It's separate. We also don't have income tax, so I'll pay that 1.78 all day.
Yep.
Yeah. So so that's another reason why it's 10. You guys might have a little bit less in some of your markets or whatever too, but that's why that's there too.
Yeah. And then you get your broker fees, which are 6% across the board.
Yep.
For us, I will never buy a deal if the broker fees don't make sense in it, because then I'm forcing the deal.
Correct.
Explain
that, because there's a lot of people out there that want to save money because they have their own broker's license, or they convince a broker to take a lower fee. So explain what you mean by what you just said.
Well, how I'm looking at it is that's a standard cost to sell. Yep. And if I have to make a standard cost reduced in my execution, that means I'm forcing the deal through. I'm not going to say that my construction's going to be at 190. I'm going to make it, I have to put an accurate budget on there. And then it's my job to execute that budget. Same time, I'm not going to execute down my cost. Now, if I get it done a little bit cheaper on the backside for sell cost, then that's a bonus. But the deal has to make sense with standard costs in there, including lending and your sell cost.
And that includes for people that are buying rentals or I'm going to property manage my own deal. right? So I don't need to put an 8 to 10% property management fee into the deal because I'm going to manage it myself. So that's what made it a good deal, right?
Yeah.
But even most people that are investing most of their lives, even if they are going to manage it themselves, they still include that property management fee because it's not a good deal if it doesn't pencil out in that capacity. So it gives you that buffer. It's a bonus, otherwise, like you said.
Yeah, don't force the deal. Same thing with the round. That was a really good explanation. Like, we self-manage everything.
Thank you.
But you're a smart guy.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
But
do you guys
we still
admit it?
factor for property
Yeah.
management in our costs
Yeah.
because just because we're working harder doesn't mean we should make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So we have 10% in sell cost, and then typically, so right now our basis for lending costs is we did a construction loan, so we're all in for $1 million. We put $250,000 down, and then we're getting
25%.
We put 25% down.
Well, let's write that out. So lending.
Yeah,
right?
lending.
You got a $1 million cost, right?
Yep.
And then so you put 25% down.
Yep.
So you put 250 down.
Yep.
Oops. Down. Okay.
Which gives us a balance of 750.
250 down payment. And so you got a 750 loan.
Yep.
So I'm curious on that. Like actually, so you have 250 in rehab. Why didn't you just borrow 750? Oh, well, I'll explain that actually. I know why. Never mind.
Yeah, so just have the lender set up.
Yeah.
So how we get our hard money loans for interest funding. They have a construction loan process. So how it works is we paid $750,000. They rolled in the $250,000 in construction costs. By chance, 25% is the construction cost down. So we put $250,000 down, and then they issue us a draw right after closing for $50,000 to $60,000. So our net out of pocket's really like $180 in there.
That makes sense because like, if you just said, "Hey, I only want to fund the purchase of $750," they're still going to make you put 10-20% down.
Yeah.
Of that, right?
Yep.
So now and then you're paying that out because I'm like in my head I'm like, oh, just pay that out of pocket and just get 100% financing on this, right? But a lot of lenders won't do that.
No, they like to see some skin in the game. And honestly, as a flipper, if I don't have skin in the game, that means I probably shouldn't be buying the deal.
Yeah.
Because if it's a smaller deal and you're trying to get your your portfolio going, then yes, do it. But you should always have cash around for contingencies that come up, right? Like things come up, neighbors take a long time. A house could catch on fire.
House could catch on fire.
House could catch on fire.
We
got
will
hold it for a little bit
rely
longer.
on that eventually.
Yes.
Once my insurance claim is finished, so and everything. But we had a house just burned down, and actually, if you watch the previous episodes on YouTube that we've done on our grow house, it's that house. So sorry guys, no more future videos unless you want to see a chart out house. So anyways, so actually, this is a good point. I want to keep talking about this. Now, if you're starting out, you might be looking at this going like, so Jimmy had to come out of $250,000 out of his own pocket, right? And when I was starting out, I'd be like, well, sign me up for that, right? I don't have 250, so that's kind of a big challenge to put that much down, and that's something that we might forget too. Now, if you don't have that 250, right? I know when you're starting out, you didn't have 250 either.
Definitely
right?
not.
So how would you have come up with that 250?
So how I did it on my first.
First off, we would never buy a house like this when we were first starting out. So that's step number one.
No,
right?
that's actually how I. Yeah, that's step. I did step number 3 on that.
Okay.
When I first started, I lost all my money. So don't buy way too big of a project without you having good systems and a really good team behind you. How I did before is you bring in a joint venture partner. First thing I bought was, and I talked about it in my VP podcast, is just bringing in a partner. 338.
Yeah, 338. You got it.
Red Robin Waiter, just Google that.
Yeah.
What I did is I brought in the partner. He put in the 20% down or 25% down, and then he got a percentage of the profit when I sold it. So that works really well. Or if you are a money guy and you don't have the construction talent, you could put the money up and then bring in a construction team. Or if you're in a construction person and you don't want to put the money, bringing your resources into a big project like this can get you that partner a lot easier.
Yep.
Honestly, if I didn't have the funds available, I could have raised the 250 because of my skill set. Been like, hey, I want to do this project. Here's your pref return, and bring the money in. But we didn't need that at the time.
I'd rather, we agree at the same term lines. Like, you'd rather get 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
Yep.
Right? And so it's that kind of mentality you have out there. And the more deals you can do. We get asked all the time, like, how do I scale? How do I do more deals? How do I do that? It's like, well, honestly, like, one of the ways to do it is JVing, partnering, finding private money letters. Like, that's pretty much the only way to do it. Like, especially when you don't have anything, you don't have any money, right? That you kind of have to. You're forced
just doing good business too. Business integrity. Yeah, I mean that's the big key.
All right, so you get that. What's your interest rate on that?
So it's 12% interest. We pay it's expensive, but it allows me not to come up with $1 million because I didn't have $1 million to do. It's 12%.
So that's $7,500 a month.
$7,500 a month. We're going to probably have this project for about 12 months, start to finish. The reason being, we've actually only been working on this site for 5 months. Part of the deal when we bought it was we allowed the seller to move out for, he had 7 weeks to move out. And then we also had the property fully abated, which takes about another 6 weeks to get the property abated.
And what is abated?
Abating is when we did an asbestos survey. So when we, anytime we're ripping in these old structure houses in Seattle, we have it surveyed for asbestos because it's environmental. We don't want to get the neighbors sick. We want to make sure it's removed. Get the survey. Then once they find the results on that survey, it takes a 10-day waiting period. They've been notified Clean Air that they're going to be doing the abatement.
As long as it's Seattle specific, depending on your area, it's going to depend on your issues with asbestos and stuff.
Yeah, research your local departments.
Sure.
And then so from there, between the survey and the 10-day period, that almost costs us a month right there. And then they have to abate it. So between the move out and the abatement, it costs us about 4 months total, start to finish and get the permit.
And if you didn't know all that when you bought the house, that's a rude awakening. Right?
Yes, and so always factor. So we factored for 12 months up front for the holding time. And we might end up at around 14, depending on, because I might hold it back for spring market a little bit, depending on the timing of the market and what's going on.
Got it. So you got $75K in interest. Let's just say that you do sell in 12 months.
Yep.
So you got $75K in interest,
and then another 14,000 in points.
Yep, because you got 2 points.
2 points rolled into the loan.
All right, so 2 points. And what is the point?
What is a point?
Yeah, what is a point?
It's an origination fee, so that is that would be for $750,000, $1,750 times 2 is $15,000. So and that gets rolled into the loan.
Okay, so if you come back up to your cost, right, you have $75,000 in interest cost.
Yep,
that's interest, and then you got 14,000 in points. Right.
Yep.
So that's your holding costs.
Yep.
And yeah, of course, there's taxes and all that kind of shit. But are you kind of rolling property taxes into that 10%? Or
no, the 10% is going to get you your title because your title insurance is a little bit higher there. And then usually we factor about 1% for utilities, 1% of cost, so $7,500, and that will be our utilities and staging cost in there. So another $7,500 off this as well.
Yeah. And these are rough numbers. We all have our P&L. You could use the fix and flip calculator on BiggerPockets, or you can create your own, right?
Yeah.
But we have our own. We use your own and stuff like that. And you know, you have your own factors for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's good. So, what else are we missing that in?
I think we got most of it covered now.
Let's then take all that and ready to go. Do your math.
Okay. So we got.
No, you just need a 1.6 minus all this.
Okay, 1.6.
Oh, sorry. 600,000. So you got it.
That puts us at 440 minus 100. That's 1.34 minus $1 million. So that's 340 grand.
So there's potential of 340 grand.
340 grand.
I hope you guys. If you're just tuning in, none of this makes sense to you guys. So, but that's your potential net, right?
Yeah, we can put one of these by it.
Yay, net. All right.
It will be a much earned 340 grand. You guys, these are not easy projects to do.
No.
Typically, I do like 1 or 2 of these at a time because I can't scale this big of a project. It takes a lot more walkthroughs and detail in these type of deals.
That's a great lesson to go on. Like, so something that we learned as a team in my team in 2017, where we had this thing called hubris, which is like ego, and so we went from doing like a whole bunch of kind of mid-grade rehabs, like 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand in our area, 80 grand. And we said, screw it, let's take on some 150, 200 ones and do lots of them right at one time. But we had a small team. Like you don't have a small team right now, but like you can run 10, 15, 20 projects. We'd always run 17, 18 projects at any time, right? At any time in 2017. But the difference, and we did the same thing in 2016 and 2015. But the difference was in 2017 we did bigger projects, right, with the same volume. And we learned the hard way that holy shit, our systems don't really work out. We can't manage we can't manage 10 of these, right? There's no way, 0 chance, right? I could probably manage like 2, right? If I don't also have 16 other projects going on at the same time. Great for us, right? So it's like, so keep that in mind for yourself. Like just because you could do it with 5, 6, 7 at a time at a mid grade doesn't mean you can do the same thing with a full grade. Like this is really a tough project.
Yeah, it's bringing the right subs in, but it's really every little detail you have to check. Like where, like originally these windows weren't framed in the right spot, and I'm like, no, we need to get the range in for a 36-inch range. They had it for a 30-inch range, so it's like those little details you have to check because if you screw it up on your execution, it's not selling. You're like it's because you weren't paying attention, typically.
Or you catch it after it gets done, and then you have to pay all. How many times does that happen?
Oh, dude. That's why I slowed down my number. I was doing the same thing. We were doing about 120 flips a year. Half of them were big. And now we're doing, like, we want to make sure we're putting out a really good product in this price point and make sure the detail's in. And also, just us at Heat and Dainard, we have a really good broker team that can they will help the layout. That is key for me to scale it. So,
you guys any questions on Facebook or YouTube machine? Right? If not, it's quiet. They were just answering everything. Is there anybody even watching?
There was questions, but you answered all the answer. You just answered all.
We just answered a bunch of stuff.
How long would it take? Interest rate on the loan?
Cool.
Do you have partners?
Cool. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna show you guys the basement, which is is this a daylight basement?
A daylight basement. Yep.
So what is a daylight basement?
Daylight basements, when half the house or 50% of the structure, you can actually walk right out without going through any kind of stairs. It's got flow. It's got a little bit more natural light in there. A full basement is where it's a dig down with staircases coming down. And appraisers, when you're looking at houses, just so you know, because I've had a lot of issues with this, is you comp a house 2,000 square feet with a full basement, 2,000 square feet against a daylight basement. The appraiser is going to take the square footage and reduce it on a full basement rather than a daylight basement. So you actually get more usable square footage out of your comps when you're doing your C-base.
Which we've seen that with our BRRRRs.
Yes.
Like with some of them, so BRRRR, buy it, rehab it, rent it, refinance it, repeat. We have a lot of basements in the Seattle area and Tacoma area, and not all of them are daylights. And for instance, we just had an appraisal on one, but it's a full basement, not daylight, and it came back less, and we're like, what the blank? And then you see the appraisal side. We already knew this kind of stuff in advance, but I didn't think it was going to go down that much. And that might affect your BRRRR appraisal on the back end. We're fine on ours, but it's just, the ego, we say it's worth this much, and then they come back that much. But,
I'm not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Question.
Got two questions. One, for the interest, since you touched on that, is that something negotiable with the bank, or is that something like hard set that you just, even regardless of your relationship, you can't do?
And keep in mind the term she said, bank, right? That's one of the questions. Like, is the interest rate negotiable with the bank? It's a hard money lender, which is going to be separate than a bank. So that's just for definition purposes. But.
So you can always price out your financing, or I will price it out. Like I get different money for new construction homes, multifamily. I get different money. If I can get better terms on a longer close, I can get cheaper money. But a lot of times the way I'm getting the discount is the reason they took our offer over a couple other offers is because they were builders that wanted longer term closing. The people wanted their money instantly. So we had to close, for us to get the price on the house, we had to close within 40 hours and then give them some time to the property. So within 40 hours, I got to call a bank or a lender that will finance it very quickly. So typically that's going to be hard money. And also, I don't want to lose this deal, so it's a dependable close. So when we wrote our offer, we had already anticipated the cost up front. As long as when I'm looking at the investment that I've already performed in the cost of the money is really irrelevant because I'm getting the deal with it in there.
And that's a huge, so cost of money, a lot of people see this number here and think that's just insane plus 2 points, right? But the truth is that like it's speed, right? So a lot of it is like it's convenience and speed. That's what you're paying for with a hard money lender. Also, a typical bank is going to want an appraisal. They're going to want to be able to like get a health and safety stuff that's going on with it, see what's up with it, and it's going to take 30 days to be able to close. Even some great portfolio lenders out there are still going to take 3 to 4 weeks to close that are out there. And like in a project like this, you have 40 hours to close, so you're paying more money for that convenience. And also you're usually dealing with a company that like understands this type of business and you're just paying for it. So rate equals risk. Always remember that. That lender's taking a little bit more risk because they're not doing the appraisal. They're not doing the investigation stuff on it as much. So they're going to charge you more. If they take more time doing their due diligence, that then reduces the risk, therefore the rate goes down. So.
And especially, actually, that was a good point on the appraisal. This seller was actually a hoarder. And they don't want people in their stuff. Yeah. Like, they gave us 3 minutes to walk through the house. Yeah. So they didn't want an appraisal coming through, looking at their things. It was very protected stuff to them.
Yeah, precious.
Precious, very precious.
My precious.
So that was part of the reason they went with us. We made it really easy, and just as long as we factor the cost of money in, it's working out fine.
We're doing some more Q&A. You have another question, but just keep it in mind. We're also going to go down to the basement. You're going to want to check that out. It's a crazy thing that we have to do here in Seattle that a lot of you guys are going to be like, holy crap, I'm happy I don't invest in Seattle. So go ahead.
Second question is on comps, and how do you research that, and do you look into specifics such as like the chef's kitchen and when you start planning your house?
So how do you research comps, and how do you look at specifics for those comps?
So I'm a licensed real estate broker, and then I tell everybody work with if you're an investor, you need to work with an investment style broker. Don't go like there's a lot of good brokers out there that do open houses, or they work with first time home buyers, or they work with higher end properties that maybe are occupied. You want to work with a broker that understands budgeting and also values, because then as they're looking at the property, they can say, hey, we can get you this ARV if you do these required items. You don't want to just hire somebody to say update the kitchen. So for us, it's about going through the comparables. We'll drive them if they're active in there, and then going through all the photos. We'll leave the Northwest MLS throughout there. So,
yeah. So and then but what if you don't have MLS access and stuff like that?
Then you hire a really, really, really good broker that speaks your language, right? You want to have an investment broker for your investment business. Totally separate type business from selling normal, traditional real estate.
Sorry, guys. Nate's messing with his jacket right now.
I'm trying to get the cat. I got it on my phone.
Anywhere we're talking to, like it's not because
Nate,
or he's falling asleep. I don't know, right? So
get your hands out of your pocket, Nate.
We did have a comment if we can get a close up. So maybe before we leave, or hold on.
Close up on the numbers. All right, we're going to go down to the basement as soon as we're done this close up. But you guys can ask more questions because we got a few more minutes before we're going to exit off of this thing. And this will go forever in the interwebs for all of you guys to view for your viewing pleasure.
What measures did you take to make sure the tenants would move out in the time frame they said they would after the closing?
Very good question. So what we do is we do a delayed possession addendum. We actually have our own addendum where we use the Northwest MLS form. We held back $20,000 from the sale.
That'll probably help.
$20,000 of the sale. We negotiated the terms that they could actually leave all their items behind that they didn't want. That was part of the reason that we got the deal. We made it convenient. And then if they were late past the 40 days, they were going to get charged $200 per day, which is a very, very expensive hotel at that point. And so they don't want to get charged a bunch of money just to keep their stuff in.
Yeah, it's super good contracts and thinking forward on that stuff because every city is different, guys, for like tenant laws.
Yeah.
But Seattle changed some stuff recently, so it's a little crazy here.
Yeah, we don't charge them rent, so it's a delayed possession contract, not a rental agreement after the fact.
Yeah. Because even now, like not the bad about Seattle, I think 120 days. If you are changing the use of a property from where the tenants were living in, you have to give them a 120-day notice now or something like that.
And then you might have to pay a relo fee as well.
And a relocation fee too. So it's got a little crazy here. And, fun. So let's check out the basement.
Okay, real quick, how many flips have you done? How long have you been flipping for?
Go for it.
I have probably done about close to 500 flips for the last 10 years. I've been doing this 10 years, done roughly about 500 flips. I've worked with investors on close to 2,000 flip properties now. So
just for you guys know, in 1 year I bought 22 or 23 projects just from this guy, and they've helped so much with everything that I do. I've learned a ton working with this dude. He knows his stuff, right? And he doesn't do these like little half-assed flips. Like they know their stuff. Yeah.
We know our stuff because we've lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
We made a lot of money, but we definitely have learned the lesson the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every house has its own lesson to learn.
Yeah. Let's go down the stairs and check it out. So you guys just tuning in. This is the unique thing that the Pacific Northwest has to deal with basements, and the worst thing to learn about later, right? So if you're doing a project like this and you don't do what you did down here, and you go to list it and you find out there's a major issue, it's the worst freaking thing ever.
Yeah.
So it costs more money to do, but you'd rather not have the headache later. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to point out why you have this job. So, first, this isn't the issue, but one of the first things I saw, if you guys come down here, you see why the framing is like floating. Right, so you see how that is? It's about 4 inches off the ground or so, give or take.
Yeah.
So why do you guys have all the framing down here, all jacked up, all honky looking?
So there's actually a 7-inch fall. So like in Seattle, because there's a lot of water, everything settles a little bit. Yeah. Right, missing gutters. A lot of times people will come into a house like, oh, there's a foundation issue. It's actually not a foundation issue. It's just dirt settling down. So a lot of times your slabs can kind of float down this way.
Sometimes there's a drain over there too, like it's unfinished basement.
Yep. Yeah. It's just how it's set up. This is actually something that we missed in our budget because the house had so much crap in it.
Hoarder house.
We didn't know what the floors were. So at this point, what we've done is because after we've trenched in all our kind of rough ends, we have to fill in all the concrete anyways, and then we're gyp creaking the floors all the way through. Gyp creaking. Yeah. So it's basically just a solid surface pour. It's like a concrete style. It's like a concrete substance that basically comes out and it levels all the floors out, and so you're able to snap a line to get that corner matching exactly that corner, and it's a non-structural.
It's almost like a super cool quick cassette.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Same type of thing.
Cool. So now let's go look over here really quick too. So you have all this broken out. This is all for plumbing, I think. Right?
Yes, this was all for our main stack line. A lot of times when we're planning these renovations, we actually try not to trench in these long runs. But, when you're doing a little bit higher end, you kind of throw that budget out the window and you want to get your layout perfect rather than just kind of working around your main stacks.
Here's the thing I want you guys to see that they've done. I'm going to point it out. I'll let Jimmy explain it. But you guys see this here. Right? You see that, Nate? Mm-hmm. All right. So this got holes in it. Right? There's actually holes on the other side of this too. There's probably some holes in it. I don't want to mess up your shit. But
yeah, that's on you if you mess up.
But this is coming out, and if you follow the concrete, you can see, Nate. So this is brand new. This is old concrete. This is brand new concrete, and it goes all the way around the entire perimeter of the entire basement, everywhere, right? So why is that pipe there? Why do you have all this membrane stuff? Right? Why is everything all concreted and brand new?
So, in Seattle, a lot of rain, a lot of water comes down naturally, and how they built all these houses were for unfinished basements. So, it wasn't for finished space. You didn't matter if it got wet down here. So, even though, like in Seattle, what we do on these massive, substantial renovations, what we actually do is we trench in an interior drain system. What this does is any kind of moisture that can come through the foundation slab, the foundation walls, any kind of drainage issues, what it actually does, and we'll look at it a little bit more there, is they trench in interior drain, and then they put in drain rock, and then concrete it in, and then they have this waterproof membrane that we then fill up with also plastic lining. So what it does is it traps the water inside the house and then puts it into the drain pipe and then takes it out to a sump pump and discharges it from the house.
Yep.
So what it does is if there's any leaking moisture, it actually, before it hits your house, it actually gets grabbed and then taken away. You can also do it by doing exterior French drains, but the one thing that we've had over years is we put the drains in, and then for some reason they get clogged or something and it floods in anyways. And then as a seller, we want to make sure we're taking care of things, and we end up coming back to fix the issue.
Yeah, because what happens when you have a fully finished basement? This is, 1,400 square feet?
Yep, a lot of space.
1,400 square feet of finished space with nice bathrooms, carpets going down here for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And it gets right around I don't know, most of the calls I've gotten for flooded basements usually start to happen right around December, January, that kind of stuff in this area, because the water table has risen. And the hydrostatic pressure has started to come up, and that's the worst call to get, right? Where you think you have a house in Seattle that you bought in the summer, and you think it's a dry basement, and then you go to sell it in November, and then it floods, right? And
or the people move in.
Yes, that happened to us where we sold a house, and the day they moved in, the house was dry, always dry. The day they moved in, one of the rooms flooded, right? And because we had heavy rains and stuff like that, and so that was a really crappy thing for the buyers, because we don't want that to happen. And so we came in, we made it all right and stuff like that. And we also didn't want that because it costs us a bunch of money and our credibility too. So
and it's not cheap to do. So the interior drain systems, on this one, the size of this basement, it costs us $8,000 on this, which actually wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be $10,000. The typical cost is $4,000 to $5,000. Maybe even a little bit below that for a smaller basement. And what it does is if it does flood out later like that, and you have to come fix that, it costs you $20,000.
Oh, easy.
And so
you have people's stuff. Right?
It's just preventative. And then also in this business, there's a lot of different types of flippers out there. Some people do cosmetics, some people, because an investor is just trying to maximize the investment. Just because they flipped the house doesn't mean that they did everything in the house. Right. And so when we're taking them down to studs, we want to also show the buyers that we took the time and care to hit the extra things. Like this basement actually wasn't leaking ever. So technically we don't really need to put a drain system in, because why put it in?
Yeah.
But we want to say, hey buyer, you're buying a little bit more expensive property. We've taken the time, we got full permits, everything was inspected, and we did some preventative measures just to show that we're taking the time in care of construction. And at the end of the day, it's a line item issue of $6,000 against a $250,000 budget. It's not the end of the world.
Yep, and but it's peace of mind too. It's like the insurance policy.
Peace of mind and doing good business.
Yeah. So, Are there any other cheaper ways you can mitigate something like this?
So exterior French drains will usually cost about 50% less.
Gutters.
Gutters. Yeah, you guys. And part of the problem, a lot of clients will call me, and they're like, or investors I know, and they're like, hey. Our basement's leaking now, and I come out to the site, and I'm like, well, you don't have any gutters on yet. They'll throw their roofs on, and they put their gutters on the very end, and then the water's just pounding the sides, and actually what it does is it creates the new issue at the house. The house just starts naturally leaking at that point. And so always get your gutters on, get them routed away.
Kick everything away from the foundation.
Yeah, we don't have gutters on this house right now because we also put this in, and then we're doing some finish work. But then you can do exterior French drains, which in theory, if the water's coming through here, it will catch them on the exterior wall and then route them away. One problem, I don't really like the exterior drains though, because if it is from the slab, they're not going to fix that issue. And so this is more of a full-blown solution rather than
because you'll have times where the water's either coming. There's only a way two waters get in. The water gets in. It's either from above or from below, right? And it's from the water table rising up and the hydrostatic pressure that builds up, or it's from the surface water coming down, right? And so the surface water coming down, exterior French drains. And is it a French drain in France or is it just a drain? I'm just curious.
So, is there any French viewers out there that can enlighten us?
Toast.
What?
Same rule as the toast.
Same with toast too, yeah. And then if it's hydrostatic coming up, you have to do this, and that's just what you have to do. You can also do sub pumps. Sub pumps is another way to save it too. Sub pumps work, but if you're finishing it, then you got to get the water to the sub pump without it damaging. So sometimes you might have an area where the water comes in, and you just don't finish that area, and you put a sub pump in there, and you drain it all out, and the rest is dry because that's where the water comes in. But if you have it coming in all over the place, you have to do this.
Yep.
But know your market. If you're in the middle of Las Vegas, you probably don't even have basements, and same with Scottsdale and Arizona and stuff to begin with. So you might not even worry about this type of stuff. Florida doesn't have very many basements too, but
They get termite stuff instead. Right?
yeah, they got termites.
Yeah. Every market's got its own weird thing to deal with.
Every market, yeah. Like I know Vegas has a lot of clay issues in the ground.
Gambling.
Yeah, gambling too. Yeah, a lot of risk takers there.
Yeah.
What other any other questions from you guys?
Where do you exit your interior French drain? Sump pump, or where, or how, and how? And do you have to time your flips so that you avoid the rainy season in Seattle?
No, because you want to buy them when you're in the rainy season, because the best market you want to be in is spring, right? Like, especially in Seattle right now, like I'm seeing a 5% change in spring comps versus summer comps, and so you want to time it in springtime. So you got to be working in the rain. It's just part of what we do. You either can route it out. Some people route it to a sewer line, some out to drain line, some might do a drywall in the back. I think that's what we did. We actually routed it out, dug out a pit, and drywalled it in the back there.
Yeah. And also, I like that last where you just time it in the summer. That's funny season. Like you sell a house that you fully finish the basement in and stuff like that, and even if you sell it in the summer, it's always been dry, and then 3, 4, 5 months later, you get a call that your basement's leaking. You're in trouble. Something's gonna happen. Like you're in trouble. Like it's like oh no, I'm still a buyer beware, right? Yeah, that doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. So,
yeah, and you got one tip.
Especially if you're proven that you're an actual professional house flipper, builder, everything like that. Yeah, you're in trouble. So,
yeah, at the end of the day, try to use common sense and do the right thing.
Do the right thing,
and that way you will provoke. I mean, I've done tons of studs down renovations, full architectural plans, full thing, and still things come up, right? Because again, I hire a general contractor, so my employees aren't doing all the work here, right? I'm hiring a company to get inspected by the city, and I'm assuming everything's going fine. Yep. But things happen. Things can get stuck in the drain pipe, like a rag, and things back up. But just do all your due diligence, document it, make sure everything's done, and then that way, if a problem does come up, you can say, "No, look, we did all the right check boxes," and then you can kind of make the decision on how you want to handle the issue.
Hire a licensed bonding contractor,
always,
because then you can go after their stuff. So,
yes, yeah.
That'd be fun. We should do a video one time about all the bullshit with all this stuff with contractors.
Dude, I could do hours and hours and hours.
Lawsuits and anyways, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun day.
It's 12:57. I don't know.
All right, we're going to be wrapping up now. So that's it. Now, for you guys, if you guys still have questions and comments, you can also post those comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'll do our best if you're watching the replay to be able to answer those as we go. Also, make sure that you guys subscribe to BiggerPockets on Facebook and YouTube. Check out too. You got BiggerPockets conference coming up October 6th, 7th, and 8th in Nashville. You can still get your tickets. I think the pricing just went up actually. They're almost sold out, so you can get them too. I'm going to be there if you guys want to meet us. I don't think Jimmy, you're not going, right?
I'm still working on that.
We're still working on it.
I'm trying to get a permission slip right now.
Yeah, not from his company, but from his loving wife. So it would be great to have him there because it would actually almost be like a Maui mastermind round too. So because a lot of people are still. Anyways, we just get back from Maui together. We totally get bunk bits. Okay. We got to build them first. But for that said, come out to the BiggerPockets conference. We're doing these BP lives every Wednesday at noon, unless I'm on vacation like the last 2 weeks. We're going to be doing the next one with our buddy Tucker Merrihew. He's out of Portland, Oregon. That's an insult to Washington. So for those of you guys watching, but he does a lot of luxury builds. He does a lot of big remodels down in Portland. Love that guy. He's awesome at finding a source of deals too. So we're going to be there next week on Wednesday at noon. We're also going to be doing, Jay Scott and I have started doing BiggerPockets webinars for BP for free for you guys to watch. Our next one is going to be on Tuesday next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can register for that for today. If you want to be able to watch this, we're going to be going over rehab stuff and how to maximize budgets and maximize profits. Stuff's going to be a lot of cool stuff. Other than that, how do they find out about you?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's jdainflips, JDAINFLIPS, or it's complicated.
Yeah,
and
jdainflips.
Our company website that has a lot of different houses and tips on there is Heaton Dainard, HEATONDAINARD,
Yep.
and then that's just .com.
So great company. Worked with them a lot. Love them. So check that out. I'm sure we'll come back here since we're doing this every week. We got to come up with something every week. So I'm sure we'll come back here when we see it more finished.
When we made it a little prettier.
That's
a Dexter style.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's all. Oh no, the plastic's over there. They don't know the Dexter style. So, anyways, besides that, check it out. We'll be seeing you guys more. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, BiggerPockets. And I'm Tarl with Fixated Real Estate. You see us on Instagram. Just do Tarl Yarber or type in Fixated RE, and you'll find me. And we'll talk to you guys later. Cool.